Hello, and welcome to the Living Scary podcast.
The podcast where we talk about real-to-real horror so you can live vicariously through us.
Maybe the real horror was the class inequality we found along the way. Christine. And I like to talk about Korean horror movies.
And I'm the abandoned circuit city that you call home, McCall, and I like to talk about true crime and murder.
And I once again am asking you to tell me about your horror movie. Logan, and I like to watch and talk about horror movies.
Logan has stopped watching horror movies, the crux of the podcast.
Hard stop.
It was just like, you know what? I think we've done enough.
I've seen
episode 100.
Movies.
I think it's over.
I've seen every single horror movie that has ever been or ever will be. I don't need to watch anymore.
What is that? The picture of Nina Brown where she's like, well, it's over. That's me with a horror movie. Well, it's over.
Well, thank you so much for having me as a guest on your podcast. I have been hinting not so subtly for months that I would like to be on it. And then you had your boyfriend be on it. And I was just like, okay, I see how it is.
Favoritism?
Nepotism is alive and well in the households.
You said our last name, you dipshit. God damn it.
It's fine.
Oh, well.
Cut it out.
I'm cutting it out.
In the
Patrick is, I don't know.
You can also cut out that long pause where I forgot that I was supposed to say that I like to talk about horror movies.
No, that's staying in.
You stopped and I was like, do I? I don't know.
McCall,
No, I just forgot.
I just said my last name. You've changed your last name, so it's fine.
No, I have not.
Only I will die. Oh, never mind.
Her last name is Redacted.
Redacted.
But it's just
She was
redacted,
too lazy
like,
to
written
change
out.
it.
Yeah, I will send this audio to you, and you may take care of it.
Yay! More work. Woo!
Because I don't know how to do it.
I don't do those things.
Now, Logan is the talent, which means that he doesn't have to do anything. Except
And I'm not
pretty.
funny. I don't like say jokes. So I have to do
I'm
the
really-
editing.
I deserve it every time. Every time it comes up, I deserve it.
You really do. You said it and it was recorded. So, whoa, you turned
Oh
out.
my god.
Like-
Your ring light just like blasted on or something.
I was fucking.
I was like,
I
is
was.
Logan being abducted?
I was in fucking Terminator 2, Sarah Connor on the fence, just like.
I'm sorry, I'm probably peaking the recording. I'm a very loud person.
We do that all the time. Well, Logan does that all the time.
I do it a lot.
Okay. I do it when I record with Tyler too, but Tyler's way louder than I am, so I seem quiet in comparison.
You should really, plug your stuff right now. Go.
Oh my god, hi. So my name is Christine. I know Logan and McCall through D&D. We've had Logan on my podcast twice now, Semantics, Pedantics, and Romantics, available wherever fine podcasts are sold. And now I'm back here to tell everyone about one of my favorite movies of all time, which is Parasite, 2019.
Hell yeah.
I probably won't just hop into it right now, but I'm very excited to talk about it. I have so many notes. I won't be using all of them, but I have so many.
I'm excited to hear about it because I have not seen this movie, but I know it's one of the ones where I'm like, it's one of those ones where I keep seeing it pop up on like streaming things. And I'm like, fuck, I've got to watch that. I've got to watch it because it was like, wasn't it nominated for an Oscar /
It won, didn't it?
Didn't it won?
Oscars.
I would say it won a lot. Like it's critically acclaimed. But I'm like, I've got to watch this thing.
Yeah, it is the first foreign language film to win Best Picture at the Oscars.
Oh, that's right.
No shit. That's
awesome.
cool.
Yeah.
It is funny that whenever a horror movie does make it to the Oscars, they destroy. Like they absolutely obliterate the.
And it's one of those movies where I think it's not considered like a typical horror movie. Like there are moments that are genuinely terrifying. I think we were talking to our mutual friend Zach, and he was talking about there is a scene that gave him nightmares, and truly, yes, it is a terrifying scene. But I also think it's very interesting that like the way I've seen it like categorized on different sites is like wildly different. I've seen suspense, I've seen thriller, I've seen dark comedy. it most assuredly is not. It has like 2 funny scenes, and then the rest of it is just real sad.
I love seeing what movies are in the dark comedy category on any given streaming site, because it's like, really, that's what
Really?
you think a dark comedy is.
Really?
Okay.
Okay.
I have a
I do
hard
think
time
part
with
of it-
dark comedies.
Yeah. I do think part of it is like the infantilization of non-Western media in the Western media sphere. Because like anything that isn't in English is like, oh, well, this has to be something like silly, you know?
Mm.
They're not talking like we do.
Yeah. Why can't you just speak English? Anyway.
Because it's like the hardest language to learn because of all the crap in it.
It's so dumb. It's so
There are
dumb.
native English speakers that don't speak English well.
Honestly, so
Me.
true.
Reading's hard.
It is. It really is. Like
Still
I have
don't have the knack for it.
I read a statistic once that English is like one of the hardest languages behind like Mandarin Chinese to learn.
Yo, our mom is calling me.
Really? Voicemail. Voicemail. Okay, I gotta pause it. I'm pausing it.
Never calls. Okay, wait.
And we're back. Mom butt dialed McCall.
I got butt dialed. She's
love
calling
that.
again. Jesus Christ.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my
It's another
God.
butt dial. I'm gonna laugh really hard.
Okay, I'm pausing again.
Hold on.
And we're back again.
I'm gonna fuck you right in the pussy. Anyway, no, I get it. Like, my dad is very much a talker as well. So every time I get on a phone call with him, I take my life into my own hands. But
We'll be like,
oh,
sorry.
go ahead.
We'll be like ready to eat dinner. Like I'll be like fork to mouth, and then my phone will ring, and I'll be talking to my mom, and I'll just like we also watch shit. So Brendan's like trying to press play on the thing, and he's like, "Just tell her you're busy," and I'm like, "Well, she'll be quick. I just give me 10 minutes." What?
McCall tells her this lie every time.
Every time. I'm like, I'm not gonna say I can't talk to you, Mom. Sorry that you wanted to spend time with me.
You just say, "Can I call you back in like 20 minutes? We're eating dinner."
I hate you, Mom, specifically. Like,
I never do that. I just don't. And then Brendan looks at me like, I'm hungry. He never says that.
but he's thinking it real hard.
He is
He's putting out hungry vibes.
hungry. Okay,
I
sorry.
imagine
Cereal.
I imagine that Brendan's like puppy dog psychic vibes are very strong, just like projecting. Please.
They're never puppy dog. They're always disappointed. They're always like, just
It's more like
go.
a cat. It's more like a cat that's kind of looking at you, just like,
He's
Okay.
just like a cat.
Okay.
oh
A lot
look.
of
Speaking of which,
disdain.
there's
Puppy
Stella.
Ah! She looked over like, what?
What?
Looking
Dad,
out the window.
what? Dad, what? What do you want? So I guess I can get into it unless you need to talk to your mom again. Oh my god, you guys have matching mugs. I feel so
We do.
left out of this
Yay.
parasocial relationship I have with people I actually know in real life.
Sorry.
Oh yeah, that's right. You've never actually probably seen our skull mugs that we these were Halloween decorations that our parents were going to get rid of, and McCall and I were like, no,
You're gonna
we
get
want
rid of
those.
those boss ass mugs.
You're gonna get
'Cause-
rid of the coolest mugs I've ever seen.
and slap this baby can hold so much liquid.
So much liquid. This is the perfect amount for our podcast. I drink 2 of these and I'm litty.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
It's like I do
Litty. What
This
am I,
fits-
12?
ice, 2 shots of rum, and a full can of Diet Coke. Like, and it fits perfectly inside.
Damn.
Me too.
All right.
That's my perfect blend. Anyway, sorry. The movie.
Okay, so before I really get into it, I wanted to ask like the level of like, should I do what Logan normally does, which is like a walkthrough of the plot and my feelings, or should I avoid spoilers?
I say do the spoilers because I personally like to know what happens in movies.
Okay.
I know. I am the person where it's like people are like, oh, you spoiled it, and I'm like, good. Now I know that person dies in this movie, and I shouldn't become attached to them. Like, because otherwise,
Logan doesn't
nothing
like
is.
surprises.
I don't like surprises. I don't like the loss of control.
I wanted to watch this movie, but I haven't yet. And that's on me, dog. So I'd say just give me the spoilers. Just tell
Okay.
me what happens.
Okay.
So that this is your spoiler warning. If you want to watch this movie, we'll give you 2 seconds.
Pause it. Go watch it.
Pause it.
Go watch it.
All right, welcome back. Welcome back. I hope
recommend you watch it.
Hope you enjoyed the movie. Welcome back to our discussion of it.
Oh my god!
Now we're
going to
step by step.
All right, so Parasite is a movie released in 2019. I watched it, I believe, New Year's Eve of 2019. It was before it won Best Picture. Its Korean title is Gisang Chung. And it is directed, I'm going to say like a ton of like Korean names. Yes, hi.
Really quick, I just wanted to ask, do you want to give some of your background about like why you're into like your time in Korea or anything like that?
Oh, yeah. Bit of my background for this. I listen to a lot of K-pop, and I'm not ashamed of that at all.
You can see the poster right behind her.
there are several BTS posters on my walls. But during my time in college, I decided to befriend we had like a weirdly high population of Korean students.
We're not having more technical difficulties.
Hopefully.
I'm sorry, what we have a high density of, Christine?
We had a weirdly high density of Korean exchange students. I feel like I have to specify South Korean, but like I feel like it should be obvious. But there we go.
But just in case.
Just in case. But we had a really high population of like South Korean exchange students because we had a sister college in Busan, which is where I ended up doing a summer exchange program over there. But one of the impetuses for that was I wanted to befriend some of the Korean students, and really the only way I knew how to do that was by like making them food, and so I would make like Korean dishes for them. I already said it to you guys before, but we lost the recording, but I got several compliments from the Korean students, which was very nice. One of them told me I could have any Korean man I wanted, and I was like, okay, cool, thanks.
Awesome. Love it.
Awesome. Great. But yeah, I did a Korean summer exchange program. I was like the only fine arts student there. Like we went around, people were like, I'm business, I'm communications, I'm economics. I'm like, I'm musical theater. And they all kind of looked at me with this expression that was like, why are you here?
What?
And I was like,
Exposure.
I like the culture and the food. And also I have friends here. But yeah, that's kind of my credentials, I guess. I guess I can just hop in. Hopefully we do not have any further problems.
God, I hope not. I'm getting I'm so nervous.
But yeah, as I've mentioned, the movie I'm talking about is Parasite. It was released in 2019, which is the same year I saw it, because I think I saw it before it actually won the Oscar. It won 4 Oscars. Best Motion Picture, Best Achievement in Directing, Best Original Screenplay, and Best International Feature Film. It's honestly all deserved. And I can get into like casting credits. I'm going to say a lot of Korean names. I don't expect you to recognize or remember any of them, McCall.
Damn.
But it is, I want you to understand that these are like very prestigious actors in Korea. It's not like just because you don't know them doesn't mean they're not famous. But the director is Bong Joon-ho, but he is probably best known for Snowpiercer, the Chris Evans movie.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Is that where they're on a train?
Yes, the Earth is frozen over, and they're on a train that is constantly moving, or else they die. I actually do have a piece of trivia for Snowpiercer that I just thought was really funny. So it was produced by Harvey Weinstein, which but Bong Joon-ho and Weinstein clashed a lot about Bong Joon-ho's like artistic vision for the film. And there's like a scene in the film where there's like this fish farm on the train, and Weinstein wanted to cut it because he thought it was stupid and he wanted more action. And Bong Joon-ho was like, this is my favorite scene in the movie. It's a tribute to my father. He was a fisherman. We have to keep it in. And Weinstein was like, listen, family is very important to me. I understand. And then later in an interview, Bong Joon-ho was like, that was a fucking lie. My father was not a fisherman. I just wanted to keep the scene. So yeah, that was I thought that was very funny. It was directed by Bong Joon-ho. He also wrote it along with Han Jin-won. There's quite a few actors in it, but like the main family is the Kim family, and they are played by Song Kang-ho, who the director said if he had said no, the movie would not have happened. And I believe it because he's a phenomenal actor. His wife is played by Chung Hae-jin. His son is played by Chae Woo-shik. His daughter is Park So-dam. And then the Parks, which are kind of the other family, are played by Lee Sung-kyun and Cho Yo-jong. And I can, again, these are all very famous people in Korea. And I can just kind of hop into it. We have our establishing scene with the Kims, who are like desperately impoverished. Their Wi-Fi has been cut off, their phone service is cut off. They are searching every corner of their basement apartment for a free Wi-Fi signal that they can kind of piggyback off of and get some form of job to pay for something, which they eventually do. But it's kind of, even in this first scene, we kind of get the feeling that they are not above doing some shady shit in order to survive, which understandable. But as they are celebrating their success at getting some more money, Ki-woo, who is the son, his friend appears and gifts him something called a scholar's stone, which is basically, it's just like a really cool rock that would be on the desk of scholars, and people collect them because they're just pieces of history. But his main purpose, it comes back, which is why I'm mentioning it, but his main purpose for visiting is so that he can be like, hey, I was tutoring this rich kid. I have to leave to go study abroad. I don't trust anyone else at my college to take over. I want you to do it. And Ki-woo was like, but I'm not even a college student. And Min-hyuk, his friend, is just like, so just lie. So he and his sister, Ki-jung, forge his credentials to Yonsei University, which, to kind of put it in perspective, it's kind of like forging a degree from like Yale or Harvard, like a really top tier Ivy League school, and just being like, yeah, I totally went here, whatever.
It's like taking a picture of you in a kayak and being like, yes, this is my child. She is an athlete. She can get into this school.
Yes, it is very similar. But it's like a really good forgery. And Min-hyuk is also like, just lie. The mom is really nice, but she's dumb as hell. She'll believe anything you tell her. And Ki-woo takes his fake certificate, goes to this house, and it's what I really think works well about this film is that it establishes like right away the miles of difference between these two families. The Kims live in a basement apartment that is just surrounded by noisy neighbors, drunks pissing on their front window. Just the worst kind of like grinding poverty. And before we even meet the Parks, we know what kind of family they are because their house is up on a hill, immaculate, isolated from all their neighbors, clean, quiet, just the picture of like wealth and affluence. And I have another fun fact about the house, which is that it is not a real house. It was a set that was built entirely for this movie. And the director made a bunch of like sketches in preparation for this. And then when the production designer brought it to an actual architect, the architect said, and I quote, "No idiot would build houses this way. This is ridiculous." But it is a beautiful home. It is very like clean, that kind of like rich minimalist vibe to it. And we meet Mrs. Park, who, even from our first interaction with her, we can kind of get what Min-hyuk was saying, where it's like, she's nice, but she's kind of stupid. She's like misusing English words. Ki-woo is supposed to be her daughter's English tutor, and she's like trying to test him, but it's clear that she doesn't actually understand what she's saying. And she sits in on the first lesson. It goes well. He has like this weird sexual tension with this 16-year-old. For context, he's like in his mid-20s. He's already done his like his mandatory military service, and he has failed to get into college like 4 times. So like he's in his 20s. She's a sophomore in high school.
Yikes.
It's weird. But he is actually a good English tutor. And Mrs. Park is like, all right, cool. So this is the tutoring schedule. I put some money in an envelope. This is your fee. I put some extra in for inflation, but we definitely saw her take out like $100 and be like, I'm actually paying you more than what I paid Min-hyuk, like blatantly lying to this kid. Before he leaves, they kind of talk about her youngest child, Da-sung, who is... It's clear that she has like extra love for him, you know, like that fun boy mom energy, you know?
Yeah.
And like, you could say it's because he's the youngest, but it becomes apparent throughout the movie that there's something a little more going on. But she thinks he's like this great artist. He has like these paintings that she has hung up around the house, but she is like, oh man, it's so hard to keep an art tutor because they all seem to just go running because he's just so boisterous and rowdy. And Kiwoo is like, oh wow, yeah, my friend's cousin went to art school in America. She's really good at teaching kids. Would you like to meet her? And bada bing, bada boom, he gets his sister, Ki-jung, to pretend to be Jessica, this American who is going to come and teach art. And it appears to be going really well. Like Ki-jung appears, she meets with the kid, establishes dominance by kicking Mrs. Park out of the room immediately. It's just like, nah, get out of here. And ends up asking Mrs. Park, hey, did something happen to Da-sung like 2 years ago? And Mrs. Park has this huge reaction to it, but she doesn't explain. And Ki-jung like spouts like this psychobabble about, these drawings indicate that your son is going through psychological torment, and he will need 4 2-hour lessons with me every week, and my rates are very high. You understand, I'm in such high demand. And
how convenient.
But it works because she agrees. And like, we finally meet Mr. Park, who is, he's got like this super sexy voice for no fucking reason. I just wanted to throw that out there. Like, he talks, I'm just like, ooh, okay.
Hello.
Daddy. But our first interaction with him is he comes home and he orders his driver to drive Ki-jung home, which seems really nice until the driver is like, hey, where do you live? And it's just like coming on real thick with it. And this is where we kind of get the first hints that like Ki-jung and Kiwoo are starting like this plot to kind of replace or like get their family into this household, because Ki-jung takes off her underwear in the car and leaves it. And then asks her dad, hey, do you know how to drive a Benz? Through long series of events, the driver gets fired. There is like this really weird scene where he's like, I can't believe this dude had sex in my car. It's so weird. But but like his wife is like, well, obviously the girl was on drugs because she was poor. Like, it's just a very strange scene. Because he finds the underwear, he brings it to his wife with like no explanation, was like, I found this in my car. And I was just like, so you put it in an envelope and handed it to your wife? Like, I don't.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like, I feel like that's not the move that most people would do. Like, and I don't think that they would go to the driver. I feel like most people would go, like most women would go to my husband and be like, are you cheating on me? Like,
well, no, because he finds it in the car and he brings it to his wife.
Yeah, and I'm sure his wife would be like, a likely story.
Yeah. Like, but I think it's kind of because she just trusts him implicitly. Like,
well, yeah, we've already established she's a little
simple. but it kind of establishes like the power dynamic that they have, where it's like he tells her find an excuse to get rid of him, and she does it. And oh, it's so crazy. Ki Jung is like, I heard the driver got fired. That's so weird. Did you know that my uncle had like a driver who's like really good at his job? Do you want to meet him? And Mrs. Park is just like, yeah, that would be great. Wow.
It's
this
so
like
convenient that you know all these people.
Wow, this string of recommendations is just like so convenient. That's crazy. And their dad, Kim Ki-taek, Mr. Kim, is brought on for an interview and a test drive that's definitely not a test. How could you possibly think it's a test? But it's a scene that is just, it's like, this whole movie is just full of like tension in this way that it's like, oh, they're going to figure it out. Oh, they're going to figure it out. Oh, they're going to figure it out. And it's like, they don't, at least not at this point. And the test is Mr. Kim steers the car around a corner without spilling Mr. Park's coffee, because bringing a mug of coffee into a moving car is something a sane person does.
Yeah, that's without a lid.
No, it's just like a mug of coffee in the car.
Sir, you're rich. You can afford a mug with a cap.
Yeah,
Sure.
I know. I was just like, this is insane. This is actually crazy.
You can afford the full mug.
It's so crazy. But
you get like a Yeti. I don't know. There's some really good mugs out there.
There are. I'm sure you could get like a fancy Samsung one where like it has like an electronic lid or something. Like, you're rich. You've got money.
Figure it out. Use some of those doubloons.
Some gold doubloons. I didn't really mention her when we first got introduced with her, but there is a housekeeper who has basically been working at this house since before the Parks lived there. She was the housekeeper for the guy who originally designed and built the house. And when he moved away, he was just like, hey, she's a good housekeeper. You should hire her. And they were like, okay. So they hired her.
She's only her off of recommendations.
Apparently.
We do no research of our own or look into any backgrounds whatsoever.
Not at all. But because she's been there so long, they know, the Kim family knows that getting rid of her is going to be like a big effort. But conveniently, she is violently allergic to peach fuzz, specifically peach fuzz.
Is that a thing?
I don't know.
Like
peach fuzz.
Like the fuzz of the fruit of a peach.
The fuzz on a peach. She is violently allergic to it. She gets like an asthma attack, rash all over her face, just starts coughing and choking. And so, obviously, they buy a peach, shave it, and start sprinkling the fluff on her whenever they go past. And just like start seeding this horrible doubt in the minds of the Parks, especially Mrs. Park, because there is like this one scene where I was like, okay, wait a second, this is really contrived. But Mr. Kim ends up at the hospital with the housekeeper and then tells Mrs. Park, hey, I saw your housekeeper at the hospital. It's like, okay, but Seoul is so fucking huge. How did you know which hospital she would go to? And how did you know when she was there? But
unless you were like following for whatever reason because you have a plot. A plot or a ploy.
But he plants the seeds that the housekeeper has tuberculosis and is trying to hide it while she is working in the house with the children. And
the problem with that is it's a very easy test to figure out whether or not you have tuberculosis.
It is, unless you contrive events so that Mrs. Park walks in on her having a coughing fit and drops a tissue in the trash, and then you go and put hot sauce on the tissue so it looks like she was coughing up blood.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, just like Satine from Moulin Rouge.
What? These natural 20s on persuasion and deception that are happening.
It is. Like, there's so many events where it's just like, oh, this is so contrived. But it's like, I mean, okay, it's working. y'all are getting it done. The
DM's looking over this, just kind of like, well, it's happening.
Just like tearing up the sheets for everything they had planned.
Like when Matt Mercer just throws that one character sheet away because they killed the character before even talking to them.
Oh man. And yeah, I mean that is like the nail in the coffin for Mrs. Park, who is like, I can't have this woman in my house if she is potentially giving my son, fuck my daughter, who cares about her, but she's giving my son tuberculosis. How dare you? And so she fires the housekeeper. And damn, wouldn't you know it? Like, Mr. Kim, he's like, I know about this like really cool service that has like a membership for like maids and stuff. Oh, I know about it because they reached out to me because like I'm such a good driver. And he gives the card to Mr. Park. They're switching it up a little bit, but he gives it to Mr. Park. And the Mrs. Kim is now the housekeeper of the house, and they have successfully brought their entire family into the Park household and are now leeching off of this family. Now,
parasiting off of the family.
Now, you might ask at this point, why aren't the Parks like suspicious at all? Are they just big dum-dums, big dumb smooth brains? Well, I mean,
yes.
One, it's a movie. Don't think too hard about it. But I also think that, like, one, all rich people think they are the smartest person in the room.
Yeah, I can see that.
They like, and like, two, the Kims are actually like good at their jobs. Kiwoo is a good English tutor. Ki Jung is a fantastic artist. And she handles Dasong wonderfully. He treats her with utmost respect. Ki Taek is a great driver. Chung Suk, who is the wife, Mrs. Kim, is just like a really good housekeeper. They are all good at their jobs.
And there's really parasites then. They're just doing their jobs. You just had to lie a little bit. Poison a lady with peach fuzz, kinda. But you know, you're working.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. No one's getting hurt. And it's like, we're just trying to survive in this world. Except the first cracks in this whole facade happen when Dasong, the little freak that he is, sniffs Mr. and Mrs. Kim and goes, they smell the same.
If my 5-year-old said that to me, I'd be like, okay.
What the fuck does that
play
mean?
blocks. I don't know.
It's one of those moments where it's just like, this is something that we've never considered to be a problem before. Do we have to do like 4 separate loads of laundry now? That's a pain in the ass. But luckily they don't have to think too hard about it, because immediately afterward, all of the Parks pack up the most rich person camping trip I have ever seen. They have a fucking outdoor projector that they are going to be using in this trip. And they go on the camping trip for Dasong's birthday, and the Kims are like, all right, cool. Time to eat all of their food and drink all of their alcohol.
Oh my God.
And it's a really good scene with really good acting, where it's like, they have this conversation about how, like, man, this family's really gullible, but at least they're nice. Well, of course they're nice. They have money. Money irons out all of your creases. You can afford to be nice when you're rich. And it's a really great scene. This whole movie just has such great interactions and great acting. And it's so good. And this whole beautiful scene is interrupted by the front door going ding dong, hello, hi. And it's the housekeeper, the one who got fired.
Miss Peach Fuzz?
Miss Peach Fuzz. The timeline is a little wobbly on this. I think she's been fired for like a couple days, maybe a week at most. But she shouldn't like be here. And she looks like shit. She has like a black eye. There's like a rash all over her face. It's pouring rain, by the way. It is just pouring rain. And she's just like, hey, they kicked me out so fast. I left something in the basement. Can you please let me in so I can go get it? And everyone in the house who are not supposed to be there except for Mrs. Kim are like, well, don't let her in. But she refuses to leave, so they let her in and she goes down into the basement. Which, by the way, the layout to this particular kitchen is fucking weird because there's the whole kitchen and then there's just the scariest staircase into the basement.
Into the abyss.
It is just into pitch blackness with like 2 lit cabinets on either side to really emphasize that it's fucking dark in here.
It's the death basement.
It's the death basement.
It's the basement from Black Phone. Like,
yes, it is the worst. But she's down there and she's just down there and finally...
She's down there and she's just down there.
She's just down there, man.
There's no sound. There's no like rummaging. She's down there for like what feels like probably like 15, 20 minutes. And then finally Mrs. Kim is like, well, God damn it, I got to go see what she's up to. The housekeeper has braced herself on the wall and is trying to push a wine cabinet out of the way. And Mrs. Kim is just like, what the fuck? But helps her. There is a secret door behind this wine cabinet leading to the scariest fucking murder dungeon I have ever seen in my life. There are like 4 flights of stairs.
It went from fucking Black Phone to Barbarian now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bill Skarsgård's down there, or whatever his fucking name.
Like, I kid you not, there are like 4 flights of stairs down into the abyss of this dungeon.
All right, I gotta admit, not what I was expecting. Not what I was expecting.
And do you want to guess what's down there? The housekeeper's husband, who has been living there for 4 years in an attempt to avoid loan sharks who are trying to kill him.
Oh, wow.
He's just there. He's been living there for 4 years. And the reason that the housekeeper was so desperate is because there is like a way to open the secret door from the inside, but it got jammed. And so her husband has been down there without food or water for like over like a week. I have tried getting water, but like
dead.
The close to death kind of time.
Yeah, like he was close to death.
He was drinking his own pee and stuff. Like
probably. I mean, I don't want to guess at what happened there, but
he was human centipeding down there.
It was rough. And so like Mrs. Kim, who followed her down here, is just like, what the fuck? I'm calling the police. And the housekeeper is like desperately just like, no. I'll pay you. Just like leave food out for him. It'll be fine. Please, 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 please don't tell anybody that he's here. And just at this moment, the rest of the Kim family who has followed down here and are witnessing this fall down the stairs. And they've been so careful. They've been so careful this entire time not to give away any hint that they are related to each other. Ki-woo fucks up and calls Mr. Kim dad. And the housekeeper manages to record it.
Oh, shit.
And it's just like, I'm going to send this to the parks unless you help us.
Oh, well, you know, I have a craving for a peach all of a sudden. Nom nom.
Nom nom.
Also, like, I'm sorry, like that's a dangerous game of chicken with the head fucking hen. There are 4 people there versus 1 woman and a desiccated corpse. Like, who's gonna win in this threatening scenario here?
I just lied about knowing this guy. You kept a man in their basement for 4 years.
Who's the worst? Who's
Who
worse
do you think
here?
they're gonna side with?
I mean, she manages to like hold it above them for like all of like 20 minutes before they, in fact, overpower her because it's 4 people against a woman and a desiccated man. To be fair, he fights like a fucking trapped animal, and it is rough. But they
like
do
a corner
use
rat,
the
I will chew
peaches.
through you.
They do use the peaches to like overpower her and send her into a fucking asthma attack.
Just go shove it closer to her
like a vampire, just like
they like put it on her face and like rub it all over. It's a scene that would be funny, except for the fact that as they manage to overwhelm the housekeeper and her husband, the phone rings and the Parks are coming back because it has been raining so hard, the campsite is flooding. And they say, hey, we're going to be back in about 8 minutes. Can you have this snack ready for Dasong ready to go? And so you have 8 minutes to clean up the mess that has been left behind by this fight, shove these two people back into the basement, and cook this very dumb, stupid fucking snack that your son wants with Wagyu beef in it.
Oh, that'd be hard.
So they spring into action. They are getting everything swept under rugs, under like
they're sobering up real quick.
They are like, it's like they are desperately just trying to cover up everything. And it's a big, long scene, but the absolute important part of it is after the Parks have come home and Mrs. Park is heading into the kitchen. Mr. Kim managed to get the husband and the housekeeper down into the basement and almost into the secret door. The housekeeper breaks away, is running up the stairs. Mrs. Kim donkey kicks her down the stairs. She goes tumbling down and hits the wall with a very bad sounding crunch. And she does not move.
Oh shit.
And Mr. Kim is just like, fuck, and drags her into the basement.
The way that you're describing this movie, it could be a horror movie, and I'm sure it is presented as such, but the way you're describing it, it also could be a hilarious comedy.
It does sound hilarious. Oh my gosh.
It is hilarious almost until this moment. This is like the turning point of the entire film, I would say.
Mm-hmm. They killed somebody.
They killed somebody. And he like drags her into the basement and like checks. She's still breathing. She is still breathing. But she very clearly has like broken her skull. And
she's got peach fuzz everywhere.
Everywhere. She can't breathe. But there is this like dichotomy between Mrs. Kim in the kitchen with Mrs. Kim and Mrs. Park. God. And guess what? The kid didn't even eat the fucking snack that she made.
Oh my god.
Rage.
And Mrs. Park offered it to Mrs. Kim before being like, oh wait, there's Wagyu in this. You can't eat that. You're poor. And ate it herself.
Oh.
Well, you're poor. Why can't you eat Wagyu if you're poor?
Because you're poor. Obviously. You don't deserve to eat nice things.
Oh my god.
Obviously. But this whole time, whenever Mr. Park comes home, he walks up the stairs and each of like, there's like 3 hanging lights and each one like lights up in order as he walks up the stairs. And you think, oh cool, that's automatic lights. No, it's the housekeeper's husband in the basement turning on each light as Mr. Park walks up the stairs because he treats Mr. Park with like almost godlike respect and like reverence.
And Mr. Park hasn't.
He just thinks that this is just a light.
He just thinks the lights light up for him.
Yeah. Yeah.
But nobody else.
Well, listen, what are you going to think? This is an automatic sensor, or there's a man living in my basement with light switches turning these on for me?
Did I pay someone to put in an automatic sensor?
Well, they didn't build the house.
They didn't build the house.
I guess.
But what if his wife walks up the stairs?
What? I don't know.
It's a movie. It's a movie.
It's a movie. It's a movie. But this is also the scene where we kind of get like the reveal of why Mrs. Park is so overprotective of Dasong. It's partly because he's her youngest child, but it's also because 2 years ago, on his birthday, he came down to like sneak his cake out of the fridge and like eat it, like kids do. And this is the scene that gave Zach nightmares. He looks over to the basement, just like,
oh no, that definitely, that kind of shit, like, or like peering around a corner, like that kind of thing.
The audio listeners, just eyeballs watching
just eyeballs.
you from
I'm
like
sorry.
a shelf or some shit.
It is from the basement stairs, just like this head rises from the dark void of the basement, the shining white face with these two huge eyes. And this actor looks crazy very well. Like, it is...
Oh, I would vomit and shit my pants all at once if I saw that.
As if basements were scary enough.
Yeah, Da-sung the kid has a seizure. And honestly, I would have had a seizure too.
That is what all children are afraid of.
Yeah.
When you're coming up from the basement and you run extra fast because you think of like the demons in the basement, that's what's there. That's what we're running from.
That's what we're running from.
The man who controls the lights.
The man who controls the lights. That guy. And like, one of the things that like I only like just got as I was rewatching it was like this parallel that this film is trying to draw between the housekeeper's husband. He has a name. I forgot to write it down. I feel bad. But the housekeeper's husband who lives in the basement, and Mr. Kim, who lives in a basement. And it's like
one
it's trying, but it's like trying to be like, we're the same. Everyone, like, just because you think that you've risen up a little bit, you're still living in that basement. But here comes the fun part. They gotta get out of the fucking house because none of the Kims, except for Mrs. Kim, are supposed to be there. And they gotta run. And they think they've gotten away, but somehow they all have to hide under a coffee table while Mr. and Mrs. Park have weird straight person sex on the couch and pretend to be poor people.
Missionary. Wait, are you kidding me?
No, they pretend to be poor people.
How do you pretend that? Like, oh, I can't eat this Wagyu beef because I'm so poor.
Ooh, I'm so poor.
I am a street rat that stole this loaf of bread. Would you like some? I couldn't think of anything.
You're not far off. Like,
oh
Mrs. Park is just like, oh, buy me drugs. Because all people do drugs, obviously.
That's just how it stuck works. On that.
It's just how it works.
Do they know how expensive drugs are? Rich people do drugs. Like,
I don't know. But the big part that kind of gets stuck in that scene is Mr. Park complaining about how bad Mr. Kim smells. Like, specifically, he's like, he smells poor. He doesn't say it in those words, but he's like, he just smells poor, and I don't like it. And they both fall asleep eventually, and the Kims manage to make their escape into the pouring rain. Now, I've mentioned it's raining a couple times, but like, I don't think you understand like the amount of rain that is happening.
It's that movie rain where it never rains like that in real life, where it's just like coming down in buckets.
It has been pouring rain by the bucket for hours. And like, they are running through this torrential rain, and we get this really cool sequence where you can see them like going from the Kims really high up, down, stairs, all the way down to where they belong, which is the basement, which, thanks to all this rain, is flooded. It's ruined. Everything they own is just gone. They are trying desperately to salvage something, anything from their flooded apartment.
That's right. You did mention that the campsite was raining so bad, so that rain has kind of moved this way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's not just them. This entire neighborhood is just being ruined by the amount of like sewage backlash that is happening. And at the same time as their lives are falling apart, we cut back to the basement where the housekeeper and her husband are. And the housekeeper is alive, but not for long. And so
she lived, but not well.
She dies down there. She had a horrible concussion, no medical care. They left her there to die, and she dies. And once again, we get this parallel that they're setting up where both of these men in the basement are just watching their lives absolutely fall apart around them, because this man in the housekeeper her husband, he loved her so, so, so much, and he is watching her die in front of him. And it's rough. It's a very rough scene. But after the flood, oh, it's such a beautiful day now. It's so beautiful. Like, we cut back to the Parks, who are just having a wonderful day. Isn't this great? We had all this rain. It cleared the sky. It's so wonderful. Let's have a party for Da Sung. And it
just for no reason.
It's his birthday. They were going to go camping for it, and then that got ruined. So let's just have a garden party for him. Let's just call everyone we know. Let's, get our driver and our housekeeper, and we should invite his art teacher. We should invite our daughter's English tutor. We should just like have this big party
where we can really see that they look really related.
Yeah, but it's. I've mentioned the tension, but like this scene in particular, where we're following Mrs. Park doing like all the prep work for it, and just spending so much money on this impromptu garden party for her kid. And Mr. Kim is like following her around, and we can just see it's building. It's like building, like little straws being put on the camel's back. And it's just, you're sitting there like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God.
He's going to snap. He's going
to snap. And he doesn't. But you can tell he comes close when she sniffs and then rolls down the window in the car. We have a lovely party. It's so great. Everyone's having a great time. Everyone's having fun. Ki-woo is kissing a 16-year-old. That's great.
Yikes.
That's fun.
16-year-old girl's been just kind of living in limbo this whole time.
I mean, like, we've had a couple scenes of him tutoring her, and then it turns into kissing, and it's gross.
That's weird.
Like, it's ugh.
I'm
really
assuming
gross.
it's not being presented as good. It's being presented as very weird.
It's like, it's kind of like he's doing that fun thing where he's like, when she gets into university, I'll ask her out for real, but for right now, I'm definitely kissing a high schooler.
I'm just trying not to think about it too hard.
Yeah. But I mean, he's there, and he, for some reason, has brought his rock that his friend gave to him. It was one of the few things he managed to salvage from the apartment. And I feel like this is a great time to inform you that no one except Mr. Kim knows what happened to the people in the basement. Mrs. Kim didn't see it. Ki-jung didn't see it. Ki-woo didn't see it. He's the only person who knew that she hit her head.
Because he donkey kicked her.
No, his wife did.
Okay, but he stayed behind and saw that she had hit her head real hard. Okay.
Yes, he dragged her into the basement. But even so, Ki-woo was like, all right, I guess I gotta kill him, and brings his rock down to the basement. And he drops it like a fucking idiot. And it just sends it all clattering down the stairs. And he finds the housekeeper's body. And her husband wrecks his shit.
I was saying, and the husband goes absolutely feral.
Yes.
With animalistic brutality.
It's hardcore. He cracks this kid's skull open multiple times with his rock.
Nice.
And then heads up the stairs. The husband heads
to
up
the garden party.
To the garden party. He goes through. He goes through.
He's
the kitchen.
probably not dressed for it.
No,
my!
He's not. But he does grab a knife on the way out there.
Oh, scandal!
And heads out. And part of like the creeping horror of the scene is like knowing exactly what he's about to do, and knowing that all these happy people are like, "Yay, party, cake, yay!" And he gets out there. He stabs Ki-jung, the daughter, in the chest, and is like
the parasite
screaming.
Daughter, right?
Yes, the parasite daughter.
Okay, because he knows that those are the people that did this.
Yes.
He has a vendetta. He has a V for vendetta.
Yeah, and his eyes are huge, and he looks crazy the entire time. But he stabs Ki-jung, who goes down. Da Song, the son of the Park, sees him, immediately has a seizure. And Mr. Kim and Mr. Park run to their respective children. The guests are fleeing. Everyone's going crazy. And the Parks are screaming at Mr. Kim to get the car, completely ignoring the dying girl on their lawn.
That's Jessica. That's not his daughter.
That's Jessica. That's not his daughter. But she's still a girl, and she is still bleeding out from a stab wound on your lawn. Call the fucking ambulance. But there's like this extended battle where her mom, Mrs. Kim, like stabs this guy, and he's dying on top of the car keys that Mr. Kim threw to the Parks. And Mr. Park is just like, what the fuck? Where did this guy come from? Reaches down to get the keys and reacts to the smell of this man. And that is the final straw. And Mr. Kim stabs Mr. Park in the chest and runs. And then Kiwoo, who had his skull fucking splintered, wakes up a month later to find out, oh, hey, I'm facing criminal charges for what happened. My dad's gone. My sister is dead. And I can't stop laughing because apparently that happens to brain surgery patients.
Mom?
That's what it says in the movie. That's what it says in the movie. I'm going to trust what it says in the movie, Logan. Don't give me that look. But he finally goes back to the house and is just like, I had to see it for myself. There's a Morse code message being blinked out from one of the lamps. His father is now living in the basement. And that's kind of the end of the movie. His father is trapped down there now.
Did Mr. Park survive or did Mr. Park
no, he's dead.
Mr. Park died.
Yeah.
Did what's his name's mom survive or
Kim or Park?
Kim. Did Kim's mom?
Yes, she's alive.
So she's also probably down in the basement too.
Oh no, she isn't.
She's arrested.
They were both arrested for fraud, false identity, that sort of thing. So they got off with probation, and like they were followed for months by the police who were trying to find Mr. Kim. And yeah, that's kind of how the movie ends.
Whoa.
That's pretty wild.
That's good.
It's a good movie. I probably talked way too much, but it's a good movie.
It's a good ending.
Yeah, it's a good ending.
I would not recognize Morse code at all. I'd be like, that light's fucked up. Anyway, I gotta go.
Anyway. Yeah. But yeah, that's Parasite. And again, it's a phenomenal movie. The music is great. There are several like lighting scenes where I'm just like, ooh, yes, looks so good. And yeah, the true horror is the class warfare that happens, and the fact that the poor are more focused on fighting each other rather than making any sort of change to their circumstances. Because yeah, it's like both the housekeeper and her husband and the Kims have this scene where it's like, this house is basically ours, right? Like we spend so much time here. We deserve this. We have earned this. And it's always so quickly just smacked down that they are parasites on the back of this huge, rich beast. And yeah, I don't know. I like the movie a lot.
It's good. Did you guys know that literally a parasite situation happened this year?
Really?
Yeah, a famous Chinese, I believe, like she lived in Hong Kong, I believe, named Abby Choi was her name. She was like a model, socialite, internet celebrity kind of thing. And she basically, it was a little more like her brother-in-law. Like basically, she bought her husband's family. She bought them like a house, all this stuff, and it got to, like I plugged it in one of our previous episodes, but Lazy Masquerade did a whole breakdown of this thing. But it's basically the exact same thing. They got to the point where they were like leeching off of this famous girl, to the point where they actually escalated to even further, where they were like, no, this is our stuff. Because I think, if I remember correctly, Choi actually went through a divorce, I think. And so they didn't want to lose their stuff. So they killed Abby Choi, and they literally melted her down into a pot of cooked soup. They made her into soup.
Holy shit.
So I would recommend watching the Lazy Masquerade video because he details all of it. But yeah, a literal parasite situation just happened this year in February.
That's horrifying.
Damn, bitch.
We're like,
McCall,
she let these
are you
people
talking about that one?
Oh, that was my story.
Dang
No,
it.
but it's more fun.
I was like, McCall mentioned Circuit City, so I knew it wasn't that one.
I'm excited about mine.
I'm excited too. Can we take a quick pause for a potty break and refill?
Yep.
Yes.
All right, we'll be right back after these commercial messages. We have no commercials.
Wait, did you pause it?
Not yet.
Okay, good.
3,
'Cause you
2,
gotta
1.
do that.
Pause. And we're back.
It's my turn.
Really quick.
Can't wait to listen to Logan interrupt McCall in real time.
Hey, I was very nice and quiet during your segment. I
Doing
think.
someone else's shit.
I really appreciated it. Thank you.
Really quick before you, the dark basement was making me think about it. What happened today? Because
Oh my
today,
God. Okay.
no, because today the power went out in our area, and it was out for like an hour plus. And I didn't know right away because I was at work. I said, hey, I'm going to go on my first 15. And I usually take Stella out for a walk on my first 15. So I took her out and I came back and I was walking up the stairs and I'm like, why are all the doors shut? Because we have magnetized locks that are triggered by the electricity to keep the doors open to the hallways. I'm like, why are all the hallways doors shut? I opened the door to our hallway. The other door on the other side had shut. So I opened it and it was just a hall of complete and utter darkness.
Oh my God.
I literally out loud was like, well, that's not spooky at all. I had to turn my flashlight on. And in my head, I was like, the power's out, Logan. The power's just out. But the whole time I'm walking with my cell phone flashlight, I was like, I kept looking around like something's going to get me. And
Please
Stella's
don't show me. Please don't show me the bent neck lady.
Yeah. It's the Hat Man. The what? Oh, so suddenly this isn't a safe
space.
But that just made me think when you were talking about the hallway to absolute darkness, that was me today. When I was like, whoa, shit.
Just like, whoever designed this house was an absolute madman. So, like, in the context of the movie, he's like famous or whatever. This guy's crazy. He built a fucking dungeon in his house.
I love that shit when you look up like people who find hidden rooms in their house they didn't know were there, and you're like, yes, that's my content.
So what you're saying is that you want someone to live in the walls of your apartment.
I don't want it. I want to read about it later.
Okay, thank you for clarifying. Thank you.
After the horrible thing happens to you.
Okay.
Good for clarification.
Thank you. The way
All
you
right,
said it happens to you made it sound like you wanted it to happen to me specifically.
Sound like a threat? I didn't mean it that way.
This is a threat.
Okay. My turn. I got my information from Wikipedia. Duh. An article from therecord.net. An article from the Seattle Times by the Associated Press. It didn't have the name of the person that wrote it. It just said the Associated Press, so that's who wrote it. And
well, when you work for the Associated Press, you become part of the one who is many.
You are the Associated Press.
And I listened to it's called the Mugshot podcast, and they had a thing on it, and it's a pretty cool idea where they the art for the episode is their mugshot, and then they talk about it. So that was cool. I like that.
That's cool.
So, Jeffrey Manchester was born in 1972. He grew up in a middle-class family. He lived in California near Sacramento. He was a good kid. He was polite, didn't really get in trouble when he was younger. Nothing really crazy to speak of. He had a pretty average childhood. When he got older, he joined the military and he worked as an Army watercraft operator, which was, I guess, some kind of position where he moved artillery equipment around the US. So he just kind of traveled around, moving shit. and he had kids. Like, that was mentioned in a couple articles that, like, he had, like, a son and daughters and shit. So, like, he had a family and he's doing his thing. He's also more interestingly known as the rooftop robber. Are you laughing at? Interestingly.
Interestingly.
I got ahead of myself. I was so excited.
And I wasn't going to say anything because I was waiting for Logan to say something so I could bring up, you know what else is from
No, because I didn't. Like, and that was at the beginning of the damn session, too, last night. I got ahead of myself also, so I know your pain, McCall. I stumbled over myself.
I'm so excited about what I'm going to say, and then I'm like,
Same.
forget all these middle words.
Me too. Me too, babes.
He was known as the Rooftop Robber or the Roof Man, which is a very ominous name.
The Tattletale Strangler.
The Roof Man. The Bye-Bye
Man.
The Pee-Pee Poo-Poo Man.
The Pee-Pee Poo-Poo Man. So,
it's horrible.
Yeah, I listened to that episode recently and I like that.
And that is I'm sorry, that is like that is the clip. That is the clip for that episode. Like for that show, like that's what they show as like hey, you should watch this because this is a really good scene from it. And it's like, girl. Anyway, he was the Roof Man.
The Roof Man. So November 1998, he starts robbing specifically McDonald's restaurants. The podcast, the Mugshot podcast, said that it makes sense because McDonald's have like a similar layout, and he was very methodical in his approach. So maybe he just really had it out for McDonald's. I don't know. I like to think he hated Ronald specifically. But
I like to think that he specifically was like, they told me that the ice cream machine was broken for the last fucking time.
I'm taking all your shit.
Ronald, that motherfucker, he has withheld creamy goodness.
That motherfucker. Or he's like, I'm becoming the real life Hamburglar. I don't know. He had a vision.
I'm becoming the real life Grimace. I'm sorry, please continue.
He starts like wearing little costume bits of the Hamburglar. He gets a little mask, little cape.
Can we also talk about how this is the first time in a very long time that they have referenced any of the McDonald's characters for this happy birthday?
No, it's talked about
thing?
Grimace in forever.
Since that fucking Supersize Me gave people false information and we had to watch it every fucking year in health class and it was all wrong.
I like
it. You know what my favorite thing from that is that they're like, oh man, he's got the liver of a severe alcoholic. And it's like, yeah, because he was a severe alcoholic throughout filming.
Oh yeah, and like when he threw up that first day and they're like, oh, it's because he ate so much food. It's like, no, because he was fucking hungover because he's a severe alcoholic.
That'll do it. Okay.
But back to the Hamburglar.
So the Hamburglar. Why didn't they just call him the goddamn Hamburglar?
Well, because at that time, and I'm sure that McDonald's did not want their reputation.
Ronald himself said,
please
no.
do not associate us with this.
It's like Mickey Mouse, like where they're like, Mickey Mouse cannot be anything other than pure and good.
Yeah.
So he's robbing McDonald's all around the US. Mm-hmm. So he would observe a building ahead of time. He'd make copious notes. And like I said, he'd make copious notes. I don't know. I assumed he would survey it and like think about it.
He has one post-it note in his car. Binoculars. That's a McDonald's.
My problem, there's not a lot of info like on the specifics of all of this. So I'm going to do a little bit of like, I'm going to sprinkle on some fun.
You're going to do what is the equivalent of like when they do like forensic files and they have dramatic reinterpretations of scenes.
That's me. He's writing copious notes in the car while he watches the McDonald's employees.
And instead of Ronald McDonald, he goes Robin McDonald.
Robin McDonald.
And then the pickup truck drives away really fast.
So he observes the restaurant beforehand, makes notes, whatever. Then he devises his plan. He goes to the roof of the McDonald's and he drills his way into the building, usually at night, but sometimes earlier in the morning.
This all
He
seems like a
almost
lot for
always-
McDonald's.
drops into the restroom and like chills out in the stall until the employees arrive. He like kicks open the stall door and he's like, "This is a robbery!" And he's got his guns up. And the employees are like, "Sir, this is a McDonald's."
Meanwhile, the 15-year-old with cystic acne is like, "What are you doing, sir?"
I have to prep these fries.
Sir,
So-
please.
He has a gun. He holds up the employees. He's said multiple times to be very polite to everybody. He's like, "Oh, could you please, ma'am, get on the ground? Yeah, right on your belly, hands up, ma'am, please." Like, I don't know how he's said to be very nice and soft-spoken.
Oh my God,
But-
Claire, your hair looks so nice. What have you done differently with it?
I've been observing you for so long. So,
At least in this dramatic reenactment.
then after, like, I don't know, he then locks the employees all in the freezer, and
Okay.
he actually will tell them to grab their coats before going into the freezer because he's like,
Oh,
"Oh,
well,
it's
that's
gonna
nice.
be a little cold," and then he like locks them in, and then he'll leave and then call the police on like a payphone and be like, "Hey, there's a bunch of employees locked in a freezer. You better deal with that. Bye."
It's the
And-
polite version of the Minnesota guy, the weepy voice killer.
The weepy voice killer. What a piece
That
of shit.
motherfucker.
But yeah, so like he's really nice about it. Like you're still getting a gun pointed at your face. So I don't know. I'd still have a problem. But the robberies are linked to the areas and locations that he would have been stationed at for his job in the military. So
Rookie mistake.
it's almost never reported that he's violent. He has an estimated 40 to 60 robberies in the US.
Oh shit.
Damn.
He is doing this for a while. So let me see. He starts in
And McDonald's doesn't learn anything.
McDonald's does nothing. They're like, "We're not making the ceiling stronger." Like, no.
I guess I'm just confused. How much money is he getting out of this? Like, how much money is being stored at a McDonald's?
Not enough. Because he has to
Okay.
keep doing it.
Clearly.
I think
He's
has
never
to
sitting there
wait.
ting, "This is the hit. This is the one."
This is
And
my
then I
big
can
score.
retire.
Yeah. He's thinking, "All right, this will get me through to tomorrow."
Well, he also already has a job with the military, so I
And
don't
he's
know.
doing it for the sheer sexual thrill.
he
I
likes
press my bare boobs against the glass.
so. I think because he has to wait for the employees to get in because there's like a lockbox that he can't
Mhm.
or safe or whatever that he can't get into until the employees are there. He waits until they're like busy with their morning duties. I assume they haven't opened up the restaurant yet because it's really early in the morning. So he's like cutting down the variables of having other people in the restaurant, just the employees, getting the stuff really early, getting out of there. I think based on the amount that I heard, he's getting like 1,000 to like maybe up to like 10,000 on a good day, depending on the location he robs. So
Not much though.
it's not enough. So he is doing this
Not
for
enough to be
2
worth it.
years now. He has been successfully just robbing every McDonald's across the US. He gets to North Carolina
Mhm.
and he holds up McDonald's. He gets about $1,000 from that one. And then he goes and he gets a little greedy with it. And he's like, "I'm going to another one." And he holds up another McDonald's, but he does not know that they are now putting silent alarms in like businesses. So an employee trips the silent alarm. He gets out of the McDonald's. He has his car parked at like a nearby church and he's like running through the woods. The police have already set up a perimeter and they're like, "Hey, look at that guy running out of the McDonald's with a bag of money."
With a bag of money with a dollar sign on it.
Wearing
he
the
wearing the
Hamburglar's clothes. That's a hamburger.
So they nab him. They're like, you're obviously, you just robbed that McDonald's. So, and like he's noted as being very nice to the cops that like got him. He's like, oh, you guys did a really good job today. And they're like, yeah, okay, whatever.
Is this guy a simp?
I don't know what his deal is. So he confesses to the 2 robberies he did that day. And he's like, yeah, I heard of this guy called the Roof Man. And because that's what they had been calling him at that point. And he's like, and he was, I thought that was so clever that I just started doing that today.
I thought it was really clever, and I thought he sounded really cool and sexy, and also it sounds like he might have an 8-pack.
I think that guy has a huge dong.
I think it's like 13 inches.
Did you guys hear about Kylo Ren?
No, what are you talking about? Oh, damn it! It's the thing from the damn. Yes.
I heard he's like shredded.
I heard he has an 8-pack.
Yeah, he basically does that, and the cops are like, okay, dude. But they only get him on...
I was like, how'd he roll in his charisma check?
Not
as
good.
opposed to the Kims.
This guy's gay. Good for him.
They're pretty sure he did all the other ones, but he only gets convicted of the 2.
Mm-hmm.
But he's also like in a medium security prison, and he starts working in the metal shop. And he's like, I'm gonna escape. You know, like Shawshank, I'm gonna do that. But like, I honestly, when I hear of escape attempts from jail, I think of like the old West when they just had to like tunnel out pork. But this guy is in the year 2000, and he is like, I'm gonna escape prison. And so he fashions a plywood like platformy thingy, and he spray paints it black, and he notes all of the incoming and outcoming trucks to the metal shop that he works at. And he lines it up so it's a rainy day, and he goes to, I don't know how he gets access to the fucking truck. I guess they unload it. I assume that they're like, hey, go unload this. We're not paying you, but you're a prisoner, so you have to. And he gets under the truck. He has this like box that he has fashioned that's spray painted black. It has magnetic things so he can clip it to the underneath of the truck, and he is hanging on the underneath of the truck, and there's just a black box around him. So when the guards are checking, you can't see that there's a man under that truck. You can't see. It's just black.
No, there's just this very large box under here.
There's a large wooden box.
That's approximately man-sized.
Like, I've given you all the information I have.
Okay.
It sounds like insane to me, like a cartoon did it, but that happened in real life. He's
good to know that our tax dollars are going to a good place with the police department.
I mean, we already established that he is the Hamburglar, who is a cartoon character. So, I mean, this does track.
He made an escape metal box that he hooks to the underneath of a truck because he had...
Why coyote this shit?
I don't understand. He had time to build this, and where was he keeping it? And don't they do jail checks where they check your bunk? Where's he keeping? I don't know.
Listen. You should, I don't know if you probably read about the Alcatraz prison escape, but the amount of shit that they were able to make and hide, incredible. Like,
crazy.
And also, it's not tax dollars, Logan. The prison system is fully privatized.
It is. That's why they're making stuff in Metal Shop, because they're unpaid workers that you can just force to make your shit. So that's fun to
abolish
think
the
about.
prison system.
Anyway, so he makes an escape box. He unhooks himself from the underneath of this fucking truck, and then he hitchhikes all the way back to North Carolina. I don't know why he fucking loves North Carolina. Also, who's picking up a hitchhiker with a prison jumpsuit on, like
In the
year
2000s.
of our Lord 2000.
how did he swing that? I don't know, but he did it. It's documented.
All right.
So he gets back to North Carolina and he is like, I'm going to blend in. And he goes by the name John Zorn. Zorn? I like to say Zorn, but in the podcast they said Zorn. So it's probably that.
Zorn sounds like the D&D character.
I don't know.
It sounds like a Power Rangers enemy.
It does. So he's like, my name's John Zorn, and I'm going to go to the Presbyterian church and like do church stuff on my days off. And I'm just going to chill around town, you know. He takes the bus for transportation. He spends a lot of time at the church doing volunteer work, especially with kids. And you're like, hey, sir, where do you live? Since you're a convicted felon that escaped prison and probably can't get a house. He lives in the Toys R Us in Charlotte, North Carolina. I don't know how he managed it, but he
Run that by me one more time.
Yeah. So there's the bike section of Toys R Us that no one likes and no one goes by.
Right.
There's like a back panel that he has like popped out and like I don't know how he does it, but he's living in this Toys R Us. None of the employees give a shit that there's a man living in a Toys R Us.
That always seems to be there bright and early in the morning and always there late at night.
He's like, I think he hides in like a little panel. So when they're doing the check at the store, no one knows that he's waiting for them all to leave. But like,
do they not have security cameras? This is 2000.
I don't know. There's so many things where I'm like, how did you get this lucky? Or like, was everyone just really stupid? They're like,
little column A, little column B.
Like the single dude just keeps coming in and out of the Toys R Us all the time. Like he never buys anything. He doesn't have any kids with him. I don't know how he didn't get caught. Anyway.
I would have called the cops immediately. There's a strange man hanging around this Toys R Us with no children, and he's here a lot. I would have been like, yes, hello, police.
Every morning you wake up and there's a
man.
Every morning you wake up and there's a new display for some crazy toy like in fucking Elf. Like,
yeah. So he's living in this Toys R Us.
Okay.
He is staying in this weird back room and he waits for everyone to leave after closing. He rides the bikes up and down the aisles to get exercise at night. And I think to just pass the time. He's probably really bored.
Go to sleep.
And
what are you doing?
And he's eating baby food because that Toys R Us doesn't sell like food, but they do sell baby food. So that is his dinner time. Yum yum. These pureed peas. That's
finger banging in applesauce.
So yeah, he's doing that. And then like he's in there for 2 months. He's living in this. He's living in this Toys R Us for 2 months. And then the holidays come around and it's like way more packed in there. And he can't get, like, it's harder to live in his little hidey hole because there's just too many eyes. There's too many people. Good for him, though.
Feel their eyes upon me.
He tunnels from the Toys R Us to the abandoned Circuit City next door.
So now he actually is Shawshank Redemptioning.
Yes. So he's expanding his home.
Wait.
Yeah.
What is he chiseling with? What is he?
His toys. A fake little shovel. I
Does he
don't know.
have, like,
a children's beach
tail and just like
yes,
I
going
don't
through
know.
bedrock.
Yeah, I think he. If there's anything I can say about this man, is he is the most determined man I've ever heard of. Like, I would just be in jail. I'd be like, yeah, at least I can sleep all day. But
have so many questions.
he is like, no, I'm going to live off of baby food in this Toys R Us, and it's better. So he tunnels into this Circuit City, and it is abandoned.
Right.
And he makes like a little room, a tiny little room that he paints. Like I don't know where he gets paint, but he gets paint, and he paints the walls of his little room, and he puts up posters, and he takes.
Posters?
He's got like Playboy magazine centerfolds just on the wall.
I don't know.
He's got like a fucking print of Van Gogh.
He puts up posters in this little
Fairy
room.
lights.
He gets a DVD player that I assume is from the Circuit City.
Okay, that
They
one
just
does
left-
make sense.
They just left merchandise at this abandoned.
I don't know.
guess.
Or there was like the break room in the Toys R Us, like suddenly didn't have a DVD player one day.
It was
Someone
gone.
would have noticed that.
I'm
Like,
sure they
hey,
did.
Paul, did you take the DVD player? No.
Someone steal this? But yeah, so he's living in his little unit that he's fashioned. He's watching movies.
His absolute unit.
He's going to church too. Oh my god.
He stole the Toys R Us's copy of like what fucking The Dark Crystal and has been watching it on repeat.
Yeah, I wish I knew more about like what Toys R Us has movie wise, but he
I feel
must
like
have
they've
watched
been out of business for a long time.
just too long.
I remember going
But-
there like every year for my birthday with Grandma. Do you remember that?
I do remember that actually. That is
we do our
correct.
birthday dinner things.
Yes, McCall remembers going for your birthday and not hers.
No, Grandma took us separately to our own birth.
Separately.
Like she would take us out for our birthdays.
And you could do whatever you wanted.
God, what is
Whatever
it like
it
to have
is.
grandparents who love you? Anyway,
Anyway, here's Wonderwall. So, okay, I gotta get back into it. Okay, so he's hanging around with the community in his off time when he's not watching movies in his little Circuit City apartment.
Mhm.
And he meets this local woman named Lee Wainscott at the church, and he starts dating this woman, and she's got kids, and he always has toys for them, and that's nice because he's stealing them from the Toys R Us.
Right.
And he's like, here's a gift, little Jimmy. And he seems like a pretty baller dude because people are like, hey, John Zorn, what do you do for a living? Like, what's your deal? And he's like, oh, I work for the government. I have a very confidential position that I can't talk about. So if we could just not talk about my personal life, that'd be really cool. And why I smell like baby food all the time. That'd be
Hey,
really rad.
tangential to that, I really don't mean to derail, but I had the thought, where is he showering in this
Yeah,
Toys R Us?
I was thinking the exact same thing.
I have no idea.
Where?
He
Local
must,
river.
he must smell terrible. Okay,
Like, how did he
actually,
convince this woman to date him? If I'm imagining he smells like stale baby food and just a like sad, sweaty man. Like,
he's really resourceful and he must be really handy because in the mugshot podcast episode I listened to, when they were going through him setting up his little Circuit City apartment, he moves plumbing to his little room. So he has a working bathroom in his little unit and running water. Maybe it's not a bathroom, it's just running water. And oh god, there's some other thing. He has a smoke detector in his little unit as well
okay.
for safety.
I guess all you need is like a sponge, and you could take a sponge bath in the sink.
I think, yeah, he has running water, so I think he's just taken a weird sponge bath. He also can go out in the town, so since he's so shifty, I think if he goes into like a YMCA, you can shower there.
That's true.
And he's got a lot of,
And you can get a good meal.
yeah, I don't know.
Young man.
Okay.
Young man.
There's no need to feel down. I said young man. Get yourself off the ground.
Also, I love like the government thing. I'm waiting for like the NCIS thing where they're like, oh, does the badge look like this?
I don't know. He must also, since he was in the military, I think he does have like a stoicism about him that maybe makes that more believable.
And maybe he knows the words to say.
Yeah, I don't know. But everyone's fooled. Everyone is fooled. He just seems like a really cool church-going guy who's always got toys for the kiddies. And I don't know, smells like carrots.
And
so
he's won the hearts of these country bumpkins. And when fucking the police come to take him away, the town rises and goes, no, not Zorn.
Not Zorn.
Take me instead.
I am Sparta. I am a drag queen.
John Zorn.
I am John Zorn.
You have much to learn, John Zorn.
I can't believe this hasn't been made into a movie yet.
It sounds absolutely batshit, and I would love to see a movie about this.
Watch this. So he's not content with his little weird life. Oh, also, sorry, one other thing that I forgot to mention that is important.
He's still robbing McDonald's.
He
got cosmetic dentistry done to his teeth when he got, I don't know how the fuck he managed that.
Where did he get the money for that?
That
shit's expensive.
He has a ceramic like spinning thing, and he forged teeth for himself. And one night, like a haunted film, there's lightning strike, and he goes, one tooth in the mouth, and he shoves a new tooth in his fucking head.
Wow, I love that episode of
Yeah, I know, thank you.
He gets into this town, he goes to the dentist. I assume he just gives them fake, like, dental insurance info, and he's like, yeah, bill it to my insurance. And then they just don't exist, and he's like, ha ha ha, I have new teeth. But, like, he's trying to, like, I think look a little different when he gets here, so he's not really detected. Or maybe he had really fucked up teeth. I don't know. But he then is like, but now this dentist has my dental records, and I don't want that to get out.
Burn it to the ground.
He burns it to the ground. So he gets into town.
Joking.
He gets new teeth. He burns down the dentist office, and then he lives in the Toys R Us.
And he fucks off.
In that order.
So now that he's got his sparkly new teeth and his new digs,
shiny teeth and me.
Shiny teeth.
He's like, I'm gonna pull off my last big score, and it is going to be the Toys R Us that I live in. And he's like,
the Raleigh, North Carolina McDonald's, one of the biggest McDonald's in the United States. I need to assemble my Ocean's 11 team to break into this McDonald's.
It's going to be my biggest score, the Chick-fil-A.
They're coming out with the Grimace shake. I've heard it down the pipe. We need to steal the formula and sell it to Burger King.
It. So he is like, I'm going to rob this Toys R Us and make money. I don't know how much a Toys R Us has on hand in any given day, but...
Well, they went bankrupt, so not a lot.
They went bankrupt because of him.
Yeah, it was him.
He caused it. So he's like, I'm going to do this. Oh my gosh.
Also, just as a cool thing, we have 22 minutes left, according to...
Shit. I'm almost done, I swear to
site.
God. So he does the same thing where he comes out of the bathroom with a gun. He has a gun that I think he stole from a pawn shop.
We told you he's going to have a gun.
He's like, everybody get on the ground. It's not the same, though. I think he's thinking of, like, a McDonald's size, and all the employees are in the kitchen. This is a Toys R Us, so the employees are everywhere. So he gets everybody.
They can scatter like the rats in Ratatouille.
They scatter like the rats in Ratatouille. And 2 employees get out of the building when he's doing his big last score. And they get the police, and they're like, there's a man that smells like baby food. he's robbing us.
It's Zordon from the Power Rangers. He's here. And he's robbing
like
us.
he's been only taking sponge baths for the last 4 months.
Also, he has really nice teeth.
It's gorgeous. So he runs out of the Toys R Us, and the police get there, and they're like, oh my God, where did he go? And they are like, hey, there's like a hidden panel in this bike area. Is a man living here?
Is that a man in that couch?
And then they find this other tunnel to the next door Circuit City, and they're like, what's going on? And they get into the Circuit City, and they're like, there is a tiny apartment that has been made in this Circuit City, and they like dust it for fingerprints. And okay, also, one of the articles I read, I call bullshit on this. There's no way this is how that happened, but they dusted for fingerprints, and they got a perfect fingerprint from the DVD of Catch Me If You Can, which was one of the movies he was watching, and I'm like, no, that didn't happen. There's no way.
Is
I was
this
like,
man living in a Hollywood script?
I was like, I swear to God, if you fucking say the Dark Crystal, I will lose my fucking mind.
I would love that. That would be more plausible. So now the police know who he is. They're like, oh, he's that guy that broke out of prison that we never found.
The Hamburglar.
The Hamburglar.
Who hid in that metal box.
They're like, and you would think that Jeffrey, now evicted from his home in Circuit City, would just leave town. He would just go find another Circuit City. But
Gotta start over in a new Circuit City with a new name and a new boarding school.
No, not again.
He doesn't leave town, and the cops get a hold of his girlfriend Lee, and they're like, hey, guess what? That guy that you've been letting your kids hang out with,
fucking children.
He's a convicted robber. And he's been living in a Toys R Us, and you're our only hope to catch him. And she's like, and they're like, no, see, he's been on America's Most Wanted. And they show her that, and she's like, okay.
What?
So she calls him and is like, hey, I'm having my 40th birthday party, and everybody's invited. Do you want to come? And he's like, okay. Normal old John Zorn will be there. And he pulls up to her house, and the cops are like, get on the ground.
Get his ass.
And he's like, you got me. He's very polite.
He was expecting the townsfolk to speak up for him.
And
defend your John Zorn.
She's like, in one of the articles, she was like, I don't know if I'm mad at him or impressed. I don't know why he tricked me, but he was really nice, so I don't know. So she's convicted. He is found guilty of many different crimes. After his recapture, he is sentenced to up to 40 years in prison, and he does have a scheduled release date of like 2036. I think. So, and he has tried to break out 2 other times unsuccessfully.
Jesus Christ.
Like, bro.
This is the most determined man in the world.
He's so determined. And I'm like, where are you going? I kind of like him a lot. I feel like
listen, he sounds like a rad dude. And his only real victim was corporations.
And Leah, I guess, or Lee.
And corporations can eat ass, so
yeah.
You know.
Well, Toys R Us went bankrupt because of it. So
because of this man, because of
so
John
he's a
Zorn.
National hero.
He killed one. We have proven that they can be killed. It sends a message.
But yeah, so that's like my favorite story I've ever done.
That's
that was fun.
Great.
That was a lot of fun to listen to.
No topping that. oof, from start to finish, it was wild.
That is a wild fucking ride.
Oof.
All right,
anyway, Christine, please give us your sibling's story.
Okay, so I grew up in Florida. Our family was,
rich.
We were fairly well off, mostly due to the fact that my dad was a lawyer, a really good lawyer, good enough that he got scouted by the mob once. But that's not the point of this story.
Damn.
McCall looks like she wants to hear that story.
He was a Southern lawyer who was like, "No, I think the jury."
I can tell that story if you want instead of this one.
No, tell the one you were going to tell.
Siblings is more on brand, I guess.
Okay. But yeah, so
privately though, we want to hear that story.
But because we were fairly well off, we did have like a vacation home in the Florida Keys, which is this little island chain.
Wow.
I say vacation home. It was like 1 floor and like 2 bedrooms. Like it was very much we're just gonna sleep here and then go and spend time on the beach. But I think at this time I was about like 8 or 9, and we were out and we were snorkeling in like the shallow waters around one of like the teeny tiny little islands that don't have any like structures on them. And like I was alone. The water was really murky that day, and so you could really only see about like 6 inches in front of your face. And I'm snorkeling around. I'm looking for shells. I'm having a great time. And then suddenly, out of the darkness, shark. And according to my family, I screamed so loud they could hear me from like 50 feet away. And then I walked on water back to the boats.
Yeah.
Primal fear
chakra. That's what I thought of when I first heard you say that. Like, to be fair, it was a nurse shark, which are very docile. I don't think there's ever been a recorded attack of a nurse shark on a human. But still, it was just like 6 inches from my face.
It could be the nicest shark in the world. It could be like the most friendly puppy dog shark in the world. And I would treat it like Billy treats his spider son in The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, where I'm like, why won't you die? Papa, what do you want from me? I want you to die!
I did like that. Also,
yeah, that's the story.
How much time do we have left before it kicks us out?
14 minutes, so we're still good. We got some padding. I'll have to create a new account after this, apparently, but...
But them's the breaks, kid.
Well, honestly, the way that this program has been working for us, I don't even because I was thinking, maybe it'd be worth it to upgrade it. But the fact that it keeps giving us these errors, maybe it's not worth it.
Maybe it's one of the things where like the errors mysteriously disappear once you buy a paid subscription.
Maybe.
Maybe.
If you want to follow us, you can. We are everywhere. I have to pull up.
We are Legion.
Buying time.
Oh, it's
Give me a moment.
I'll give you a moment
at a time.
I'll get up on my soapbox for a minute while you are looking at like talking like errors mysteriously disappearing. D&D Beyond. My God, I have like the legendaric one. Like I have like the big one where it's like I can have multiple campaigns where I share all of my homebrew shit with whoever I want, all the things I purchased on it, all that hunky dory shit. And the amount of times that it's just all of a sudden been like, oh, we don't know what's happening. Oh, you've built encounters that you're trying to delete. Oh, well, you can't delete them anymore. It's whatever. Oh, we're
I don't
so
like
sorry.
how like wrapped up you're getting.
I have a shawl on, and I'm like, we're little D&D Beyond. We're just
Top.
and I'm like, I pay you hundreds of dollars. Give me the thing.
Oh, well, what is D&D Beyond? There's nothing we can do about it. We're just little guys.
We're not a multi-million-dollar corporation owned by Hasbro. We don't know anything. I will say, I don't like when people are like, oh, Wizards of the Coast, fuck them. It's like, I'm like, no, like Wizards is owned by Hasbro, and I'm sure the Hasbro have like their titties in a twist. Like by that I mean they literally are twisting the nurples of Wizards of the Coast to be like, you make money, damn it.
They're
So anyway, where could they
sucking at that chafed, cracked teat, begging for more dollars.
Yep. From the
So-
nerds.
If you want to send us an email,
If this entertained you at all.
are you not entertained? We have an email which is livingscarypodcast@gmail.com. There's also Living Vicariously, if you so choose to try to spell that, at gmail.com. It's not that whole sentence. I'm sorry. It's livingvicariously@gmail.com. I should have stopped talking.
11 minutes.
We also have a
We're
Twitter and a
fine.
Tumblr
We're
and
fine.
an
We're
Instagram.
fine.
Oh,
just
please
joking.
follow us. Please, please, please. I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm just trying my best.
Aren't
You're
we
doing
all?
great, sweetie.
Oh my god. Okay. But yeah, that's it. That's it. Please follow.
Christine, you take us out.
Oh, jeez. There's so much pressure. I don't know if I can. Boo!
Nice.